All right, welcome back to another video where I prepare for my new job by learning network automation or by mastering it, but there are some things I'm learning new. So where I left off, it was the Ansible Juniper example. So in between videos, I set up a Juniper here, and yep, so here's the Juniper device. So I'll be running the example here. The Ansible Juniper module requires the Juniper EZ package. Oh, and I'll share my screen here. I'm also trying a new microphone setting. So I'm hoping that works well. It looks like everything's highlighting in green. The Ansible Juniper module requires the Juniper PyEZ package and netconf. If you have been following the API example in Chapter 3, APIs and intent-driven networking, you are good to go. If not, refer back to that section for installation instructions, as well as some test script to make sure PyEZ works. The Python package called JXM lease is also required. Okay, so let's get these packages installed and then let's set up the hosts file. Before we do that though, let's make sure that I can just SSH into this. I set it up, I put some base config on there, but I did not set up remote access or IP addressing. But before I do that, I think I will set up the server. Yep. So we're going to activate the virtual environment. Perfect. All right, so now we know what the host address is going to be. So this is going to be so we'll use .1 in a /24 for the address on the interface where the Juniper is plugged into. So that's going to be ENS1, which maps to ENS3 because it's virtualized. Yep, so ENS3, wired settings. So we've got on ENS3.1.9. Let's do this because it's starting to very quickly get confusing which ports on the Juniper are in use and which ones are not. So let's take it one by one and let's do ifconfig. Actually, let's do this route because now we know if one of these aren't in the table, then the interface to that is down. So let's do an ifconfig ENS3 ping yeah, so it definitely starts with ENS3. So I'm pretty sure that's going to be this one. If I delete this link, I think it'll go down. So, or I shouldn't be able to ping .9 anymore. Oh, I still can. So that's interesting because I thought that was plugged into ENS3, but I'll just replug it in and then we'll know for sure where it's plugged. So, okay, it's ENS4. 3 maps to 0, so ENS4. Okay, so we've got 192.168.24.252. Nothing wrong with that. It breaks the convention of using, well, I mean, it's not going to be a gateway of last resort anyways, so it's kind of breaking all the rules and conventions of networking, but it is, I don't think, well, actually, yeah, we can't have this on there. We're going to have to reset it, so let's do that. And we'll just go with that one. Perfect. Oops, I did forget though. In order to set a new IP address using the graphical user interface, the GUI on Linux, you've got to clear the profile first before you can make changes to it. All right, so now we're good to go. We can set up that other side on the Juniper. Oops. Oh no, is this the glitch? I think it's the glitch. Well, that's too bad. Yep, it's the glitch. Oh man, I really wish I knew what caused the glitch, but I'm going to reboot the whole topology. Hopefully the Nexus devices will be okay when I do that. I kind of think they won't, but I'm not going to be using Nexus for a while anyways. All right, so I'm going to be in a new tab. Oops. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to go down to reboot. There we go, and hopefully that Juniper will now be recovered when it comes back. So I did not add the license to it. So I'm kind of wondering if, because there have been large stretches of time where I did not have where I had the license applied and I did not have that issue with it losing the CLI prompt. So I'm wondering if it's related to that in some way, if it works a little bit better with the license applied. Sometimes I don't always do that just because it's an extra step and it doesn't always seem necessary. But I'll apply the license if I can get back to it. Well, it's going to be a while though. I think for now I'll kind of read ahead while this is working in the background. In the host file, we will specify the device and connection variables. In our Juniper playbook, we will use the Junos_Fax module to gather basic facts for the device. This module is equivalent to the setup module and will come in handy if we need to take action depending on the return value. Note that different values of transport and port, note the different values of transport and port in the example here. Okay, so let's note that. So transports, yep, okay, yep, because we're using netconf instead of CLI, we've got to specify the transport as netconf, and then the port that netconf uses is 830. And if it was CLI, the port would be depending on the transport protocol you're using for CLI. You can use SSH or you can use Telnet. SSH, it would be port 23. Port 22. Telnet, it would be port 23. but we're using netconf, so it's going to be port 830. Now, if you're using an API, you could be doing a API call to port 443 or port 80, and the transport protocol would be HTTP or HTTPS. That could be a thing that you were doing if you're using an API. You could also do it over SSH. You can also use netconf over SSH. But let's continue on. When executed, you will receive this output from the Juniper device. Now that we have seen examples of managing Cisco and Juniper devices, let's compare them with some examples where the target machines are Arista devices. So we're going to need Arista to be up. I don't have any Aristas up, so while we're waiting for this to come up, I think I'm going to try to get an Arista going. Now, Aristas, in my experience in GNS3, have been pretty nice. I haven't fallen into the same bugs or issues that I did before, so kind of got high hopes for this. There was one thing, I forget exactly what happened, but it just kept cycling and really being like I essentially broke the image. I kind of forget how I did that, but for the most part, it I think has been nicer to use than some of the other ones. All right, so we're gonna wait for this to boot up. I'm going to be back in a minute. I just gotta grab some water quick. Oh my God, that scared me. Oh no. There was a car accident outside my window. Somebody backed into another car. Oh man. Oh. Oh, it was a nurse too that backed into somebody. I feel so bad. Oh my God. Yeah, a nurse backed into an old lady's. Old lady was going like this. Nurse was backing up to park. Slammed into the old lady's car door. Nobody's hurt, but there's definitely some damage to the car. They're discussing the damages right now, exchanging insurance information and stuff. Oh man. Yeah, I was in a car accident in Austin. Oh man, it's like the worst thing ever. Looks like it happened to a nurse too, with the coronavirus and stuff. Oh man. That's just bad. Oops, and I forget what the login was. Oh, I think it is actually in the image. If I look at configure and then usage, yeah, admin and then no password. God damn it. Yeah, they're still talking. They're exchanging insurance information right now. Man, that sucks. What a bad day. All right. Okay, so let's see. Okay, here we go. So, yep, and it's still saved the configuration I had before. I just don't have my license in there. So I could edit. I could add it if I want to. I kind of want to. I think I will add it. It looks like they're on their merry way now. Oh man, that was a bad noise. Okay, so yep, I'm gonna add the license. So I'm gonna stop sharing for now. Fortunately, I can't share the license, but as I always say when I do this, just contact Juniper and they'll take care of you. Hopefully, I still haven't contacted them about it. I'm planning to take a test through Juniper, and I don't know if they're going to take care of me for that because, you know, it used to be just a kind of a adventurous, you know, kind of risky, fun thing, but now it's with the coronavirus, it's like, yeah, seriously, like there's nothing fun about this anymore. You know, before it was like, you know, this is hardcore, this is crazy, there's no reason anyone should take this test, but, you know, I'm just hardcore, I'm just crazy, I'm just an expert in this field, like, this is who I am, I'm just, you know, I'm at the top, I'm one of the big boys, but now it's like, I don't know if I am when there's a global pandemic and I'm gonna be flying to go take a test. It's like, wait, what am I gonna go do? Take a test? I don't really know if I am that hardcore. Like, that's what sucks about this coronavirus is it's just like my future is just, you know, I was going this way, coronavirus happened, now I've got to go that way. It's like I don't know what's over here. I planned for things up here. So all right, so let me finish pasting that key in. Had trouble. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so I've got my key in. Hopefully that helps with those CLI freezes. I still have no idea why that happens. Would really like to figure that out, but I can share my screen now. All right, so back to the book. That's what's going to suck about working at home. If my car, like, if I look out my window, I can see my car. So if anyone backs into my car, I'm going to actually see something like that happen instead of just like come home from work and notice there's a little dent in my car. It's like, I don't know what to do. I'd rather have that situation where there's like a dent in my car. I don't know what happened than like seeing someone hit my car and then like drive away. I just don't want to see it. All right. So, okay, so yep. So let's keep working on this. Oh, right, because I did the reboot. But this is now good to go. So I can put the IP address on there. It's going to go on G000. Oop. So family INET address, and then I need to know the address I'm going to use. Yeah, 192.168.24.252. Okay, so yeah, everything I think looks decent. We do need to set up SSH, so set system services SSH. And we can do yeah, I think see here you get the ID, you can choose the ciphers. Junipers are so nice. I mean, granted, those were really old versions of Cisco that I was using, but still, I'm just a Juniper fan. So set system login user, and let's see what users they're going to use. So Juniper, and then Juniper exclamation point. Some user Juniper. So now we get a class super user. So plain text password, perfect. Perfect. I think that's all that's required. Let's test it on the server. Yeah, I wish you could copy paste from this book too. That's really annoying. Oh, unless you can. Highlight, note. You can type a note and you can highlight. Yeah, you can't copy and paste from this book. All right, so, but it's .24.252. So let's see if I can SSH to that. Or first, let's see if I can ping it. And I can. So the SSH is going to be Juniper. And then it's going to be Juniper1. Or Juniper exclamation point. Perfect. So everything's good to go. Let's run the scripts. So, yep, we already installed that. So now we need to make a host file. So let's do that. Oops, why is there so much? Oh, I mean, I would say no. I don't have any extra space. Okay, so let's make a file for this. Oops. Give me into insert mode, please. They're still talking to each other for some reason. I thought they were good to go. They just exchanged their insurance information and were good to go, but they're still talking to each other out there. It was a pretty nasty sound. Hopefully somebody didn't get hurt. I know my car accident, I just got like a love tap, but I got a love tap from a giant SUV, and I was in a little tiny Toyota Corolla. It wasn't even an SUV. It was a Dodge Ram heavy duty 3000, and I was in a 2004 Toyota Corolla, and it was just a love tap, but there was a love tap that crumpled up my whole back of my car up and sent me flying, and my seatbelt did one of these and jerked me way back, and I still have like, I don't have any chronic pain really. I mean, sometimes it kind of flares up a little, but it's just like weird now. But it's yeah. So any car, especially, it looks like that was an older lady out there. that could be a big problem. All right. It looks like she can still drive the car. I mean, it was just kind of backed into the passenger side, so not anything too serious, but car accidents are never a fun day, especially if you're a nurse coming back from your shift dealing with coronavirus. All right. Okay, so yep, now we gotta run. Oh, sorry. So we gotta make the playbook, and we can use the one that they've already got, or we can just type it out. I'd rather just type it out to get some practice and more familiar. I find if something has gone through my fingers, I kind of feel more confident than if if I just read it, it's in, it's out. But through my fingers, I've actually put my hands in motion, and I really feel more confident that I have learned the subject matter. So, okay, so this is the Junos Fax Module. So this looks like actually a built-in module to Ansible. So if that's the case, I won't type it out, but I will try to find it. So yeah, I can get to Ansible here. Let's do a find-name, Junos Fax. So hopefully it's the, yep, so it's the name of a module. So hopefully this looks like what they had in mind in this example here. Oh, it's a directory. Okay, so I'm not sure how they want this to be run. When executed, you will receive this output from the Juniper devices. Okay, well, they don't give us instructions to execute this. How do I execute? Pip install. In our Juniper playbook, we will use the, okay, so here's our playbook. And we're going to use the Juniper Fax module. So where are we doing that? Aha, right here. So in our playbook, we can use modules. So, and you use that under tasks. You start your tasks with names. So yeah, we're gonna have to type this out. But that's fine. And I'll just name it like example, like chapter 4 example. So, yep, and I'll cat the hosts out. Perfect. By chapter 4 Junos example dot, and then do I need to say it's a .py? Yeah, I do. Or no, it's a dot YAML. These are YAML files. That's how Juniper, or that's how Ansible works. It requires these YAML files. Okay, so I'm going to go into edit mode in Vi and just type out this playbook. Almost looked like I saw lightning out the window for a while, but it's a perfect sunny day, so I'm not sure what the heck was going on out there. Some like reflection or something. All right, so now we got the tasks, and that goes under the same level as the vars. Oops. Okay, so it's Ansible playbook -I inventory for inventory, and then it's the host file that we made, and then it's going to be chapter 4 Junos example.yaml. So hopefully it's nice and smooth. My experience with Ansible, it typically never is, as is my experience here. So I don't know what happened. So we got some deprecation warnings. Aha, so we've got no module named NC client. So I think I just might need to enable my virtual environments. Nope, still don't have a module named NC client. You can see that right here. But luckily, now that we've got the virtual environment enabled, it's just an install away. I mean, it would be even if it weren't enabled, but then it would go into our global space, and it's a lot neater to have things that you need for specific projects only associated with those specific projects and not bleed over into other areas of your system. Oh, but it looks like it's already satisfied, so I don't know what it's complaining about. I guess I'll look at the error message in more detail. Okay, so it is installed. It looks like it's using the wrong Python interpreter. So I've got to consult this documentation. So, I mean, I'll just do the whole thing and then put it in Google. Oh, but I can't copy paste across. What the heck? I can't copy paste across virtual machines, unfortunately. I think I can, but not using this VC client. Okay, but I'll just Google Ansible Python interpreter, perfect. And now this will hopefully show me how I can set this up. So let's see what it is by default. By default, it's It's Python 3 by default. So, and the error message is telling me. Oh, so it's using, that's interesting that it's using Python 2. So, okay, well, I tried something just based on what I saw in the search, but obviously if I haven't read the help documentation yet, I'm very likely not going to find the right solution. I just kind of tried to take the easy way out. So yeah, let's do all these steps and get this to work. So we've already got Ansible installed. Let's do Ansible version, pipe grep, Python version. Yep, and we've got Python 2.7. So one thing we can do, so it looks like, okay. Huh, okay, well, this is kind of, it's a little bit tough here. So let's read this a bit more carefully. Oh, one thing I can do is I can open up, I can do Python 2-m pip install nc client, and then it will have it for Python 2, and it should be able to work with it. The flashing happened again. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that flickering is. It's kind of annoying. All right, so, but that is fine, not a big deal. Okay, so this is what I can do. It doesn't have NC client installed for Python 2. It only has it for Python 3. So instead of trying to figure out how to get Ansible to work for Python 3, I can simply just install NC client for Python 2. And it's in my virtual environment, so it's not like it's in the global space or anything like that. It's probably the easiest, quickest solution to this. Yeah, and using precious disk space, of course, that's always a problem when you don't have much. And I do not have much, but when I get these to work, I've already taken a few L's in the last examples, just kind of moved on without getting them to fully work. But now that this is a VMX grade image, I've actually got another series I'm doing where I work towards a Juniper cert. It's actually the highest level Juniper cert for service provider, although I'm starting to, kind of my latest videos have been, can I take this during the coronavirus? Because it's, I never really thought about how that would affect my test day. And it could very well cancel my test day. So if they don't have a remote plan for me, and another test does, like the CCIE, which I could take, I'm qualified to go and take the hands-on exam. I've met all the prerequisites. And not only that, instead of studying it for service provider, I could get it for wireless, which I think has a much brighter future than service provider does. So let's see here. Okay, here we go. Oops. So we finally got it to work, but we're on to a new error message now. So it's unable to decode JSON from response. Received none. We did not receive a response back. And I have the feeling that's because we're using netconf, but we did not enable netconf on the Juniper. It's not enabled by default. So let's go and do that. I don't think that will be difficult. It'll just be set system services, and then I'm sure, yep, netconf is a option there. So, oh, it looks like I have to choose one of these options. So let's just go with SSH. And then we might as well set the port to 830 just to be sure that that's what it's going to be. Because if it's over SSH, it could be 22. So there's no harm in specifying that extra, and it prevents that scenario of the port being 22. So let's try it again. Fingers crossed. Oh, yeah. See, this is why I don't really like Ansible. But let's try to connect to the device using netconf. So we're going to do -p830-s netconf. And now it's going to be Juniper 1. Okay, so yeah, we had no problem connecting to netconf via the CLI. So I don't understand why Ansible cannot connect to netconf. Let's get the error message and let's type that out into Google and get some help. So we did overcome this incompatibility issue that we Googled before. We just installed the missing library into Python 2, because we had it installed in Python 3, but not Python 2. So now we've got a new error though. It's unable to decode JSON from response. So we'll do Ansible unable to decode. Aha, so autocompletes. Oh, but it's to exec command. This is going to be get capabilities. So I'm going to specify that. There we go. And ours is undercore. Oh. Yeah, and this is Juniper. So Junos. Yeah, unfortunately, I have found that unless you use Ansible absolutely as on rails as you possibly can with a paid environment to demonstrate how to use Ansible and why it's amazing, Ansible isn't really that amazing, is what I found with it. But the whole point of this is to be proven wrong and to walk away from this thinking that Ansible is amazing. So that is what I'm attempting to do right now by Googling these heinous error messages. So modules using netconf are broken in Ansible 2.9. They fail with the following error message. So this was like a question. Let's see. Now they're getting it with 2.9.7. I thought I was using 2.8. Let's see what version I'm using. I think it's just Ansible version. Oh yeah, I am using 2.9.7. So I thought the book wanted me to switch over versions. I didn't think they wanted me to use 2.9.7. I guess I I don't know for sure. I'll double check that. So let me make sure my bookmark's there though. Yep, it's here, but I think I'm ahead. Yeah, I'm right here, so I'm going to move my bookmark up. Perfect, and now I'm going to search for 2.9.7. Yeah, and I didn't get any results back, so yeah, I'm pretty sure Ansible wanted me to use 2.8. Yeah, they wanted me to use 2.8.5 is what I thought. But for some reason, I'm on 2.9.7. So let's try to get 2.8.5 to work. So either use the system installed version or switch back to Ansible 2.8.5 using the get source code as illustrated before. So, as illustrated before, so we got to go back and figure out how to do that. I'm pretty sure it was just like a git branch command. Oh yeah. I know how to do this from memory actually. So the problem was the reason I wasn't able to get it to work before was because I was in the wrong Git repo. I was in the Git repo for the examples from this book, but I need to be in the Ansible GitHub repo. So I can do a git status here. And sure enough, it is a GitHub repo. So here I can do git branch, and I can see all of the branches. I think I've got to throw an all. Yeah, I've got to throw an all tag if I want to see all of them. So yep, here's all the different versions. Here's 2.8, the stable version. All right, now if I do git tags, yeah, git tag. Oops, and I don't think I need all. No, I don't need all. So yeah, now we can see I've got all the versions here. So I need to do a git checkout command. So let's do a history. Oops, come on. Pipe grep v 2.8.5. Yeah. Oh no. So I don't have it saved in my buffer. History is a great command. I really like how you can dig up really old commands you did, but of course, if you've rebooted the device, they won't persist. So, oops, looks like they didn't find any results for that. Okay, here we go. So running different versions of Ansible from source. So let's do this, and let's set up version 2.8.5. So source, packing, setup. Okay. Oh, now that's interesting. So now I have 2.8.5 running. So if I enter this source command within the Ansible Git repo, then I use a different instance of Ansible. So it'd be nice if I could just use the plain version that comes when it's installed, which I believe is 2.8.5. But let's skip up to the bookmark. Yep. And then let's run that command again. So history, And then one of my favorite commands, you can do a exclamation point and then the number of the command that you ran. So number 32, that's the command I want to rerun. So you hit enter. And now hopefully Ansible is running the correct version. Aha, so now that we're using version 2.8.5, we no longer have that bug with netconf on Junipers, and we were able to get back a nice and easy response. Scrolling in this, navigating this virtual machine really isn't fun. Okay, yep, so now we get a JSON output. We've got output Ansible Fax, all sorts of good stuff. Here's all the interfaces. So we're going to have 000 is going to be configured, but this is just the physical configuration. So you'll notice a difference here: operational status up, whereas the other ones that aren't configured are going to be operational status down. So that's all the physical for all the ports. So see if there's any familiar config on here. This looks like it's just all the config on the device. Oh, nope. So this is just a subset of the configuration on the device. We don't even have the host name or anything like that. We just got, it looks like, information about the bare bones hardware. We've got CPU information, we've got chassis information, physical ports. So all the physical aspects of the device is what we appear to be pulling back. And to do that, we used the command, let's see here. So we used this playbook. Let's take a closer look into that playbook and see if it makes more sense why it's just pulling back physical things. So collect default set of facts using this Junos Fax module. So let's find that. So find -name star Junos Fax star. I wish I could make this terminal to automatically copy paste. I probably can. General. Copy, paste. Looks like I can't. Well, that's okay. Okay, so yep, here it is. So yeah, it's probably going to be under modules, probably not under tests. So one of these, oh yeah, so core network modules, this looks like it, I think. So let's take a look what's here. Copy paste, oops. Perfect. Aha, so here it is. So, and let's do a pipe less. There we go. So it's part of Ansible. Junos Fax, collect facts from remote device running Junos, collects fact information from a remote device running the Junos operating system. By default, the module will collect basic fact information from the device to be included with the host vars. Additional fact information can be collected based on the configured set of arguments. So I wish it would say, like, because I have 5 years experience at a ISP, and a lot of what I did was, you know, the guy in the dark on the command line of the gear, don't talk to that guy because he could, you know, tank half of the United States network. So I'm really familiar with the CLI, the human interface, that aspect of the gear. That is where I feel the most comfortable. So if I read something like this and it says, by default, the module will collect basic fact information from the device, I get very uncomfortable if I don't see the the commands sent to do that. Because what command are you going to send? Request system reboot? That's not going to work. And I want to know if you're going to be sending that. So yeah, I'm kind of disappointed and perhaps a bit frightened by not being able to see those commands. Here we go. So I can see the code here. Yeah, this is a py file, so this is all the code. So here we go. So this looks really familiar. This is that PyEZ. So yeah, we're gonna see down here exactly what the commands are. See, all we've got is this Git Fax, which comes from connection. So it's really kind of leaving a lot to be desired. It's just all hidden away. Yeah, I really don't like that about tools like Ansible. Like, you know, as I've said, my background, like, I need to see the commands. You know, I have a whole video series on the CCIE, or sorry, the JNCIE SP. So I'm comfortable looking at the commands. I know what they do. I really need to see the commands to feel comfortable interacting with the device. Otherwise, I just don't know what's going to happen to the device, and I really don't feel comfortable running something like an Ansible playbook if I can't be 100% sure what it's going to be doing to the device. So that's why, again, I will say I prefer something like Paramiko. I tried to demonstrate in the last video why I thought it was easier to use Paramiko, and ended up kind of putting my foot in my mouth because I didn't have an easy time demonstrating what I wanted to demonstrate. But as I've said, I'm trying to keep an open mind towards Ansible, figure out how I can use it to good effect. So in the book, they said that, or in a forum, oh yeah, because I Googled for how people use Ansible, and for more straightforward kind of basic things, you would use Ansible. But for something more complicated you wanted to automate, you would use something like Paramiko. All right, so yeah, but we got it to work. This is a W for sure. We got the W, so yep. Yeah, so everything is, I think, good. Yeah, and then of course we're not gonna, let's just run it one more time to kind of cross compare it to what we see here. Oops. I'm gonna shrink this down. There we go. Perfect. All right, we're running it one more time. So yep, it's aligning with what's there. Aha, and one thing you will notice too, and I'll go back and look at this. So we've got play, get Juniper device fax, task, collect default set of tasks. So hopefully that looks familiar, and I'll show you why that will look familiar. So name, get Juniper device fax. Name, collect default set of fax. So in case you haven't figured it out by now, I wrote this. And then I can put I wrote this too. Now let's run it again. So there you go. That's what those are for. When you run it, it's going to give you back this output, and then you can save output like this to a file. And as we saw with Paramiko, it will return you a bytes object that you'll have to decode, and you'll have to go in and it'll be hard to kind of figure out. You'll need to put your own kind of stuff. But if you save this output to a file, then you've got a much easier thing to analyze. You want to deliver something to your boss saying, hey, this is what I did on the network with my automation. You can deliver them a file like this that says, this is a lot of output. Okay, yeah, that says the play. This is, to gather device facts, and then the task, here, and it'll show them a whole rundown of what you did. So you can see why something like this would be really valuable. Yes, you can do this yourself, but Ansible already did it for you. And then, just down here, you get the recap of everything you did. It's idempotent by default, so it's harder to make mistakes. I think for the most part, am kind of walking away from Ansible, feeling better about it than I did, which is good. That's what I had intended to do. But one thing you can do is output this to my results. .txt. Yep, and then you do that with the chevron. You use one chevron to write to that file, and then you use 2 chevrons to append to that file. There we go. So, yep, we just got a warning message, but now I can do my results, and there we go. I've got the whole results, so I can even open up a Python shell. I can do with open my results.txt as f, and then data equals f dot read. So now I've got the whole thing here, and I can do whatever I want to do. So I can do, let's see here, I can do print, or I can do, let's see, what can I do? I can even probably take this whole thing as a dictionary, but somebody beeped really loudly out in the parking lot. Kind of startled me, but you can, yeah, so you've got the whole power of Python for a file like this with a play recap with all sorts of things. So it's a lot easier to work with. It's output that is a lot more useful if you need to deliver a recap to your boss with the changes you made on the network. You get to deliver that person something that looks like this instead of just a big sloppy bytes object mess that you would have to spend another day of coding to clean up and make look good. So yeah, in my book, Ansible's starting to look pretty good. So let's continue on with the Arista example. The final playbook example we will look at will be the Arista command module. At this point, we are quite familiar with our playbook syntax and structure. The Arista device can be configured to use transport using CLI or eAPI. So in this example, we will use CLI. This is the host file. Okay, so let's set up that host file. Oh, good, and I'm 30% of the way done. That was my goal for today, was to get 30% of the way, or get through enough of this book so that I would be 30% of the way complete with it. So let's just keep moving on. And we'll go to by hosts. Perfect. And we're going to do EOS device. Perfect. So everything looks good. Now we're going to type out the playbook. So the playbook is also similar to what we have seen previously. Before we do that, though, let's make sure the network's good to go. So we'll just move this down here. Move this up here, and let's make sure that the device is good to go. Yes, it is. We might need to change the host name and all that sort of thing. I think I kind of, okay, so Aristas do have enable mode. Let's see what, okay, so it's going to be called Arista1 for the host name. So configure session. And I love that. Commands only applied on commit. I love it. Big plus. I really like Aristas. So we're going to do set or let's see here. System. Oh, how about hostname? Yeah, hostname. Arista1. Commit. Commit. Let's try commit instead. Perfect. So we've got our hostname Arista1. So now we're going to need a IP address, and it's going to be 192.168.199.158. Okay. And did I wire it up yet? I didn't wire it up yet, so I'll do that first. Okay, and it's going to be ENS7 on the Ubuntu here. Oops. Network settings, ENS7. Perfect. So we got to remove the existing connection profile before we can add a new one. The other thing we got to do is make sure that it doesn't overlap with existing IPs on other ENS interfaces. So let me look up what it needs to be again. So it's going to be .199. That should be fine because it's going to be a /24. So I'm pretty sure that's going to be unique. Oops, and it's not going to be DHCP. We're not specifying a DNS server. We're specifying an IP address. Perfect. So now we need to set up the IP on the Arista. Configure, and then I think it was private. No, session. Configure session. And then it's going to be interface, Ethernet 1-1. Oops, or just Ethernet 1. Perfect. Okay, and now it's going to be like no switch port or something. Yeah. And it's going to be IP address 192.168.199. And then it's 158. Okay, and it's going to be a /24. Oops. Oh, okay. It's not a routed port. That's what I tried to do when I did a no switch port. I'm not sure how do I make it a routed port. I remember dealing with this before. I don't think it was that hard to figure out. It's like IP IP address. I remember it not being super hard to figure it out. I do need to make it a routed port. So switch ports. What about no switch port? I thought I already did that. Oh, I understand, because until I commit, it's still a switch port. So I've got to do no switch port commit and then put the IP on there. But let's see if it took. It did. Okay, so let's try to ping the other device. But that makes sense as a error message, because I didn't have the configuration committed yet, so it still in fact was a switch port, as that is the kind of port it is by default. Okay, so everything is looking good. The playbook is also similar to what we have seen similarly. Let's type it out. We've got the host file looking good. Yep, so it's time for the playbook file, and I'll just ping the host file from here. I already did it from the other side, so it's going to be good, but I like good news, so let's get that good news twice. And now let's make the playbook. I'm not sure what to call it. Yeah, let's just call it kind of similar to what we called the other one. So the other one we called Chapter 4 Junos example. So we'll call it Chapter 4 Arista example. Okay, and now this, of course, is the name. So we're going to see this when we run the playbook. It'll show up, and then if we redirect that output to a file, this will show up in our file along with our output of the actual command, whatever we send, what we get returned from the device. That will show up in that file if we save the output after we run this, as will this that we are writing right here. So you definitely want to make this very useful. So if you're searching through those files, you've got gigabytes of data in files of just pulling back information from devices. You want to make sure these names are really useful to you, so you can pull back what you need efficiently. I'm almost sad to say that when I went to networking school 2013 to 2015, I really learned a lot of what I learned using Cisco IOS. And I'm almost sad to say that Cisco IOS almost seems a little bit obsolete when you're working with something like Junipers and Aristas and Nexus. There's really a lot of really essential features missing, but I guess it makes sense that you would learn on something with fewer features to begin with, just so you kind of learn the fundamentals. I wonder what they're using now. I can always ask somebody I know who's a teacher there. I should just send him an email, ask him about that. I'm kind of curious. Next time I go back to Wisconsin, maybe see if I can do some sort of demo or something to show on my channel. Maybe if there's a topic that's interesting, we can do a real world something or another. Network automation, I could do a great demo on that. I could do an excellent demo on like Ansible, like what I'm doing right now. I could just demo that for the class. So if you're watching and in fact, let me just say right now, if anyone from a tech school is watching and has a extracurricular club or something, and they want me to come and do a demo, and it is in the Austin, area in Texas, I will go and do that. I will go into the classroom, I will show up, and I will give a demo, kind of like the videos I'm doing now, or in some way share my networking knowledge with new networking students, because I believe in that. I think it's important. People did that when I was in school, and my life has improved a lot through school, so that was a big part of it. So if anyone would like me to contribute, kind of give back for the things I've gotten, I am more than happy to do that. Just leave a comment or whatever. I will drive to, well, with the coronavirus and stuff, I guess that's kind of an empty promise, but if there weren't a global pandemic, I would drive to the campus and show up and give a demonstration of anything you've seen on the channel. Even if it's something not on the channel you can ask me about, I might be able to do a demonstration of that as well. But that only applies to a city I am currently in or plan to visit for now. Actually, for the given future, forever probably. I don't know. I was a supplemental instructor for a while. I enjoy teaching a lot, but it can be really challenging. It's definitely kind of nice to not teach sometimes, but it is a really rewarding, and it's one of those jobs that really, I think, it's like a feel-good job, like just knowing that you're helping somebody. All right. As you can see from the Arista example, it is not that different from Cisco or Juniper in terms of structure. This speaks to the strength of using Ansible. Even with a new vendor that we have never worked with before, using Ansible can provide a layer of structure to be followed. Yeah, so I mean, that is an advantage, but of course that vendor has to be a part of Ansible already. You do have to actually go onto that vendor and set up SSH and stuff and put an IP on there. So it's not all peaches and roses. There's some advantages, yes, but it's not the end all. All right, let's see if this works. It's not going to work because I didn't set up SSH on it. Yep, and we can see, oops. Oh, it looks like we've actually got a syntax problem. That's interesting. Did I use the wrong syntax? No, I used the right syntax. It says I used the wrong syntax. Well, what syntax did I even use? Oops, that's CT, I mean A. There we go, I mean A. So maybe I've got like an extra space or something after the 3 dashes. Nope, that looks good. So how do I have a syntax error? I don't think I do. Am I missing quotes or something? Maybe this needs to be in quotes here? No, it doesn't. Yeah, I guess I'm not sure why I have a syntax error. That's interesting. Okay, so I've got a syntax error there. So var is not a valid attribute for a play. So where's var? I don't think I have var anywhere. Oh, am I missing? I'm missing an S. Yeah, so I have vars. I have var, but I need vars. Var is not valid. It is valid under debug, but for a play, which is here, this is a debug. It's valid for a debug, but it's not valid for a play. So just from that word here, play, a play, you know it's going to be at this indentation level, and you know that var is not a valid attribute, so you know it's probably vars is what they meant to say. So they being myself. So, but luckily all I need to do is add an S. These are the kind of errors I like because they're easy to fix. So hopefully it will not work now, but for the reasons that I expect it not to work, that being that there is no SSH setup on the Arista, but it looks like I'm missing an S from task as well. And remember, it's for a play, so it's going to be the leftmost. And yep, there it is, task with no S. So it's going to be tasks, even though we're just having one task in this case. Perfect. So hopefully this will work. Oops, we still got problems here. So task is not a valid attribute for play. So I wonder if oh yeah, I didn't do a WQ, I just did a Q. Okay. So WQ, now hopefully it fails because SSH is not set up, but I can set that up, no problem. Now that's interesting. I was not expecting that at all. EOS devices. So do I have an underscore instead of a dash? Is that what's going on? Nope, I've got a dash. So it's not, no hosts matched. Arista 1, Ansible host, no hosts matched. Could not match supplied host. Oh, I think I've got an underscore somewhere in my playbook. Yeah, I wonder if they told me to do that. They did. Yeah, they told me to use an underscore in the playbook, even though they said to use a dash in the host file. So obviously that's not going to work. They have to match. So now I can choose if I want to change the playbook or the host file. I kind of want to go with the host file just because it's a smaller file. And yep, so this has got to be an underscore if it's going to match what's in the playbook. Perfect. Now it's actually running the play, and now it's running the task within the play. And yep, sure enough, we've got an error. The SSH is not set up on that device yet, so let's see if we can get that working. Yep, so we've got, oh, I did 158, or 168, I've got to do 158. Oh, and I don't even know what the, okay, it's going to be Arista. So let's quit that. Try it. Oh, yep, and we don't have that set up, so let's do that. So configure session, username Arista, and now secrets, Arista, and now commits. And hopefully that's all that's required. Some require more. In a Cisco iOS device, you've got to configure the line configuration where the VTY lines will connect to, and you've got to include transport input SSH, transport input SSH, but you don't got to do that in Arista. Everything is just fine. I really, really like Aristas. Really nice and easy. I kind of like a device that is more like out of the box, everything's ready for use, and then a smart network engineer comes in and disables things that aren't needed. Instead of a device out of the box, it's just bricked, and a smart network engineer actually gets it to work. Actually, I don't know which one I like better. I thought I liked what I said, but now that I think of it, I don't know if I agree with what I said. I have no idea. But I do know that those are two different kind of ways you can go with it. You can have one out of the box, work, everything's perfect, it's magic, or one out of the box, doesn't work, but you give it to your expert, and now it works. And by the way, you're not vulnerable to all these security flaws. Okay, so let's see here. So we've got everything pretty good. We're just missing. Okay, so all we need to do now is just run it again now that SSH is set up. Perfect, so complete victory, got the W, moving on. Yeah, and the deprecation is a deprecation of the version of Ansible that I'm using. It's saying, for my distribution, Ubuntu 18.04 on host, should use Python 3, but instead I'm using Python 2. So yeah, time to move on. Summary in this chapter. We took a grand tour of the open source automation framework Ansible. Unlike pexpect-based and API-driven network automation scripts, Ansible provides a higher layer of abstraction called a playbook to automate our network devices. Ansible was originally constructed to manage servers and was later extended to network devices. Therefore, we took a look at a server example. Then we compared and contrasted the differences when it came to network management playbooks. So server's example, nice and smooth, because that's the original way it went. We compared and contrasted differences. Kind of don't remember exactly what we did there, but later we looked at the example playbooks for Cisco iOS, Juniper Junos, and Arista EOS devices. We also looked at the best practices recommended by Ansible if you are using the latest Ansible release version 2.8. In Chapter 5, the Python automation framework beyond basics, we will leverage the knowledge we gained in this chapter and start to look at some of the more advanced features of Ansible, such as group variables, templates, and conditional statements. So sweet, I'm on to Chapter 5. Good news, I'm more than 30% of the way done with this book. I'm actually 31%. So I'm gonna move up the bookmark for sure. Definitely earned the heck out of that. All right. So yeah, I'm on Chapter 5. And I guess I don't see my bookmark. Yeah, where's my bookmark? Ah, here it is. Okay, so bookmark's fine. Chapter 5, the Python automation framework beyond basics. So in Chapter 4, the Python automation framework, Ansible basics, we looked at some of the basic structures to get Ansible up and running. We worked with Ansible inventory files, variables, and playbooks. We also looked at some examples of using network modules for Cisco, Juniper, and Arista devices. In this chapter, we will further build on the knowledge we have gained from the previous chapters and dive deeper into the more advanced topics of Ansible. Many books have been written about Ansible, and there is no more to Ansible than we can, that's the opposite of what you meant to say. And there is more to Ansible than we can cover in 2 chapters. The goal here is to introduce the majority of the features and functions of Ansible that I believe you will need as a network engineer and shorten the learning curve as much as possible. It is important to point out that if you are not clear on some of the points made in Chapter 4, the Python automation framework, Ansible basics, now is a good time to go back and review them as they are a prerequisite for this chapter. So yeah, Chapter 4 went good for me. There was one, there were a few examples where I had to take an L. I think the one was with Cisco iOS, just because I had a legacy version of it, and I wasn't able to set up backwards compatibility for SSH in a way that in Ansible I didn't actually look to see how I could include that in there. But I think that was the only time I had to take an L. There might have been something else, but yeah, I don't think I need to go back and review anything. In this chapter, we will look into the following topics: Ansible conditionals, Ansible loops, templates, group and host variables, the Ansible vault, Ansible roles, writing your own module. Ooh, okay, now I'm getting excited because, okay, yeah, this is going to be pretty awesome. We have a lot of ground to cover, so let's get started. Lab preparation. For this chapter, we will continue to use the same lab topology used in Chapter 4, the Python automation framework, Ansible basics. We will also follow the best practice suggested with offloading the host variables in a host_vars directory. We will also use a few options on Ansible.cfg, such as disabling host key checking and Python interpreter discovery. For more information on the Ansible.cfg options, host key checking, and Python interpreter discovery. Okay, well, that's interesting because I think we were having an error with Python interpreter discovery, so I'm just going to have that open in case we need to look at it some more. So we will follow the Ansible version and file structure as listed below. So let's make sure we're good on that. I think we were, but remember that there's 2 ways to use Ansible, just as it's configured in the global space, and then you can also use it with the virtual environment for Ansible enabled by the source./hacking. And then or / and then I forget what exactly, but let's see what version we're running right now. Yep, 2.8.5. So let's do tree host vars. Oops, and we don't have host vars. Okay, so they're going to use the same topology they used in Chapter 4. I might need to go back and look at that, but for now, let's just kind of keep moving on. I'm not sure where. Oops, I closed my terminal. Okay, so there's host vars. And this is, of course, just in there, in the GitHub repo for this book. I can do a Git poll, see if there were any changes. I don't think there will be, but yep, okay. So we've got a few extra things in there. Let's do a cat on ansible.cfg. Aha, so here's how we can perhaps configure it to connect up to those old school iOS devices. Okay, so I think I need a break. I think this is a great place to start for the next video. So I'm going to move my bookmark up and delete the old one. And now, hopefully I get my bookmark. Yep, bookmark is there. So yeah, everything looks good. So I'm going to end it there, starting to dive off the deep end and really kind of look at some good, more interesting, useful ways to use Ansible. Really excited to dig into this, but unfortunately I'm a little bit out of steam right now. It's already 7:30, so yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. And if you want me to, if you run a tech school near Austin, 2-year school, anything like that, you want me to come and give a discussion, a lecture, extracurricular, something like that, but I will volunteer my time and do that if you contact me.